Morning to everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's great to have you back for the GCRF AgriFood Africa Programme. It's my delight again to welcome you to today's sessions. We are looking forward to some great presentations, and I'm sure that you will be very much enjoying the time that we've got this morning. Just a reminder of a couple of points. These are being recorded on YouTube, as you'll be watching them that way. And you can interact with us through the Q&A section. And the way that you would do that is by typing into the chat in YouTube. So if you've got any questions, we would love to hear them. And the best way to do that is just type them into the chat. And then at the end of the presentation, we will ask our panelists those questions. Just to remind you that this is being recorded, pre-recorded, the presentations. The reason we did this is just to make sure we didn't have any technical issues. And so you can just sit back and watch those and appreciate the effort that's been put into them. If there is a couple of delays on the sound, just bear in mind that it's because it's pre-recorded, and nobody that's been asked to do this is a professional audio person. And so, you know, they're doing it from home because of the current situation with COVID. So do bear that in mind. But we very much look forward to having you with us. If you wanted to tweet about this event, you could do that. We have got a hashtag, Twitter, do that. So it's hashtag AgriFood Africa, and people can find out about the program through that. We will have another event this afternoon, which is an exciting one, which is the pitching competition. So do tune into that, and we look forward to awarding a winner. We've had some excellent pitches so far, and I'm sure that you will appreciate those. So without much ado, let me just introduce the speakers. I am presenting the first presentation. My name's Tim Esther. I work for the KTN as a knowledge transfer manager, principally on this programme. We've also got Ian Cox speaking, and he's the innovation lead for Innovate UK, and he works on the agri-tech centres. So he's very well placed to give us an overview of those, and I look forward to hearing his comments. And then we're delighted to have Nikki Archer with us, who's the Deputy Director for the Scottish Government, and she works in procurement. So she's got a wealth of experience there, and she's put together a great video for us to watch, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that. So without further ado, let's play the presentations, and then we'll have live questions and answers at the end of it. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to today's presentation. My name's Tim Esther, and it's my delight to be able to present to you about the academic landscape in the UK. Just before I start, I just wanted to talk a little bit about why I think this is such an important topic by using a personal anecdote from my life. So I didn't actually grow up in the UK, and even though I am British, and when I came back to the country as a teenager, I found it particularly difficult to fit back in, and I used to complain a lot about the UK. I didn't like it, maybe something to do with the weather. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. But actually, I remember being brought up short once by a friend of mine, and he said, you know, Tim, you really should be very grateful for the British system because it's excellent. And actually, I changed my mind and thought, actually, he's correct. I should be more grateful because the British system is fantastic and it's given me many opportunities. And so I changed my attitude, and I'm very grateful for the UK education system. And so I'm delighted to be able to present on this topic. So I'm going to present this talk through four key areas I want to mention. First is the education system and how this is a foundational industry within the UK, and how that naturally leads to a highly skilled workforce in the sense of the tertiary education that's available. One of the ways that this is manifest is through the specialised agri-food centres that we have, which is entirely appropriate for the audience we have listening to this. And I want to showcase the excellence and scale that we have within this country. And then I want to focus lastly on universities and how they are shifting, how they do research, and gearing up much more with an international focus. So let's start by looking at the foundation of the British education system, which starts from when children go to school all the way up to tertiary education. And within the UK, there's quite a large proportion of our GDP that is spent on this, getting this journey, and it's 6.2%, which is quite significant and is one of the highest among OECD countries, and it equates to around £90 billion a year. This figure has remained relatively static in the last decade and shows how much the UK values the education system. This rather complicated set of pictures or graphs showcases how someone can start at the bottom here and work their way through the education system. And I've got England and Scotland up, but obviously Northern Ireland and Wales are also have slightly different systems, but it's broadly the same. So a child will work their way through, and then about halfway through they get to this middle point of the graph where it's green, and that's at 18. And I should note here that's when they begin their tertiary education, and not all of it is classic education in the sense of university. Some of it will be higher education in terms of foundation degrees, short courses, vocational qualifications, apprenticeships, and so on. And I mention those because those are highly important to education in the sense that they provide the specialism that's often needed, especially in the agri-food sector. So I'll highlight them because they are important, but unfortunately we won't have time today to focus on those. So I show here an image of someone dabbing, classic victory sign if you like, and they're correct in the sense that if you do finish your tertiary education, your unemployment rate is very low. In the working population within the UK, it's at roughly 2.2%, which is something to celebrate, I think. And then the other statistic is that almost half of the working force at the moment has some sort of level of tertiary education. Bearing in mind, of course, that the current crop of students, the current graduates, that proportion will be higher because education levels are increasing across the country. But perhaps they're not dabbing, perhaps they're closing their eyes in dismay, because actually, if you are an undergraduate in this country, you're likely to be leaving university with debts of around £27,000 in 2020. And this doesn't include repayment of your maintenance loan. If you factor in the cost of living and in terms of a loan, then that total can be between £35,000 and £40,000, which is a significant amount of money. So universities are an integral part of the UK economy, and remember that I've said that it costs on average 90 billion across the education system, including primary. Well, actually, UK universities, the gross value that they add to the British economy is projected at 95 billion. And actually, they support almost 1 million jobs across the nation. So they're clearly a key part of our economy. The other point I want to highlight is that the level of education is very high, and those that achieve PhDs in this country, the proportion is 1.4%, which is an incredibly high number, and just shows some of the specialism that we can offer to other partners who are looking to collaborate within the UK. I now want to just show you a tool that the KTN have developed. This is a digital tool, and it's free of use. You go to that website and you can click on it, and it's very interactive, and it's useful to see where the academic landscape is within the agri-food system. So I just highlight that so you can see. What I've done is screenshotted a number of slides just to sort of drill down into some of the numbers, and you'll see this next. So on this slide, you can see when you go to the site, you can see that there's 101 research capable organizations highlighted in orange in the middle, and we're going to drill down into those for the next screenshots to see where this specialism lies within the agri-food scene within the UK. So when you click on that research excellence, you can see that it's split into 3 sectors. We have 46 livestock and aquaculture research capable organizations. We have 37 involved in food and drink, and we have 36 involved in plants and crops. And some of these have been established for hundreds of years and very well known around the world. When you drill down further into those sections, you can see that each area has their own speciality, and you can see roughly where they are located within the UK. And if we were to scroll down on the live web page, you would see a description of the particular centres, where they're located, some overview about them, and some contact details. So this is a very useful tool if you want to find out a bit more about research and within agri-food and how capable we are as a country. The next thing to look at is publications, and the UK has 212,876 to its name last year, which is an incredible amount of publications and gives us a 7% share of the world's total, which is not a bad number, and puts us third behind the USA and Canada. In terms of the most highly cited, the share goes up to 14%, which again puts us at third, and is not bad for a country that's ranked 21st in terms of world population. But the figure I want to focus on now is this one, 47%. And if we were live, I would perhaps ask the audience for their ideas as to what that number was. But actually, it's the number of publications that are international in collaboration. So they have not a UK partner and an international partner. This number is from 2014, and since then it has gone up. And the 2018 number is 55%. So clearly you can see the UK academic scene is not insular and is looking to collaborate with others. The last point I want to make is about the REF, because this governs much of how academia is conducted across the country. And the goal of any public funding is to create a dynamic and internationally competitive UK research sector that makes a major contribution to economic prosperity, national well-being, and the expansion and dissemination of knowledge. And I make this point because actually the GCRF AgriFood Africa Programme has many of these shared aims. The last review of the REF in 2016 highlighted the importance of interdisciplinary work. And as you know, agri-food as an industry is very well versed in this. If you think about robotics and how that's been used in agri-food, it's the idea of two separate industries coming together and innovating in a new way. Now this program, we are hoping for new and innovative solutions to some of the world's problems within Africa, and I hope that you'll see that the academic landscape in which universities are operating can also help with this, because they share the similar aims of the programme. And I think that's of relevance to the members, which is why I wanted to bring this to our attention. I hope that presentation has been of some use to you. Brief though it was, we've managed to cover quite a bit, and we've started by looking at how foundational education is to the UK economy and society at large, how we have a highly developed tertiary education which produces a highly skilled workforce that is able to deliver within agri-food in terms of their specialism, and they have a number of institutions up and down the country that can offer all sorts of wonderful and innovative solutions to problems that exist. And universities are instrumental in this, and they have increasingly an international focus on collaborating with others. So thank you very much for your time, and I'd be delighted to take any questions that you might have.
Hello, I am Ian Cox, and I am responsible for the UK's 4 Agritech Centres, a unique collaboration between government, industry and academia. I am going to give you a brief overview of the Agritech Centres and how they can help you going forward. Created in 2015 and 2016 as a result of the UK's Strategy for Agricultural Technologies, the 4 Agritech Centres are joining up existing research excellence and investing in new, unique and innovative resources and research that doesn't exist anywhere else. They are addressing challenges that no one part of the sector can address alone, and positioning the UK as a global leader in sustainable food production. The 4 centres are Agrimetrics, the world's first big data centre for agri-food, the Crop Health and Protection Centre, or CHAP as it's known, CL Livestock, which is Europe's largest applied animal research centre, and AgriEpi, the Engineering Precision Innovation Centre. All 4 centres are open access, which means they can work with anyone and are attracting interest from and working with international partners as well as those from the UK. As you will see, some are already working on collaborative projects in Africa and delivering real benefits to farmers and businesses. The agri-food sector has a data problem. We desperately need the advances in productivity, profitability and sustainability that data-driven technologies can bring, but the required data is hopelessly disparate. In the UK, some research projects will spend over 50% of their time and budget on finding and manipulating the required data, and that's before the real innovation can begin. Agrimetrics are solving this challenge by creating the food and farming sector's first data marketplace, a place to find, share and manage agri-food data. The data marketplace will incentivise the data-rich to share their data in exchange for money via a fair and equitable revenue share model. Agrimetrics accelerates the process of connecting that data to other relevant insights, making it more discoverable through cutting-edge visual research tools, making it easier for data consumers such as researchers and agri-tech innovators to find and access the data they need. Using private data exchanges within the marketplace, organisations can benefit from best-in-class data management capabilities without making their data public. This is hugely beneficial for those who lack a safe and affordable way to collaborate and share data. Agrimetrics also provides data enablement services for those who lack internal data science capabilities, such as predictive modelling, data integration and artificial intelligence development. Agrimetrics works with organisations across the agri-food sectors in all parts of the world, including BASF, the world's second largest chemical producer, including agricultural solutions. They wanted to address the challenge of runoff from crop protection products unintentionally making its way into waterways. Agrimetrics developed a field-specific decision support tool which connected and analysed the relevant data to provide growers with an 8-day recommendation on whether or not it was safe to spray. As the quote from Lewis Wells illustrates, the benefit Agrimetrics brought was being able to provide all of the required data, infrastructure and expertise in one place. This enabled the application to develop much quicker and more cost effectively than was otherwise possible. This was important to BASF, who wanted to give this tool to their customers before they applied pesticide to oilseed rape last autumn. In the trials, a large majority of farmers found the tool useful and believed it helped to make more effective water stewardship decisions. There are plans to extend this to other crops and other products. Delayed harvests are an expensive problem for international farming. Overseas crops are grown for a specific shipment window to provide retailers with a constant supply of fresh produce. If the windows are missed, growers are normally responsible for making up the shortfall. This can be expensive and run into millions of pounds a year for a business. But these costs can be substantially reduced if a grower knows in good time that a shipment will be missed. This was a catalyst for Agrimetrics to develop a harvest timing prediction tool. This connected and analysed relevant models and through AI predicted with 92% accuracy 4 weeks in advance when a sweet corn crop would mature and if it would meet a shipment deadline. This advance notice would enable Barfoot's to find a more cost-effective solution to make up this shortfall, leading to an estimated £6 million in annual savings. Agrimetrics' harvest timing prediction tool can, in theory, be applied to any crop in any geography, and they're currently looking for organisations to help scale this solution with. The Crop Health and Protection Centre, or CHAP as it is known, brings together leading scientists, farmers and their advisors, along with innovators and businesses to understand industry challenges, to drive research and innovation, developing and trialling solutions that transform crop systems. They work with partners to translate and promote these solutions for improved crop productivity through the uptake of new technologies. CHAP's capabilities and partners are highlighted here on their network map. CHAP is working on a project in Kenya to develop a potato cyst nematode assessment tool for the identification and quantification of PCN in Africa. It's a big problem that does a lot of damage to the crop. This project will provide a quick, easy and cost-effective solution. CHAP is using its cutting-edge capabilities in partnership with PES Technologies based in London and ICIPI in Kenya. CL is the UK's Livestock Innovation Centre, helping to introduce innovative technologies and processes into livestock production, both in the UK and worldwide. They are your link and point of access to a world-leading livestock research alliance and extensive UK agri-tech business network, working with you to identify key partners to support your studies. CL's capability covers all main livestock species, cattle, sheep and goats, pigs and poultry, and the key systems for genetic improvement, nutrition and productivity, looking at eggs, milk and meat, and health. The outcomes of this research are focused on sustainable productivity with low environmental impact, moving towards circular production systems, improved food safety, integrity and security, precision livestock farming to maximise efficient use of resources, such as feed tailored to specific animal needs, and minimise unnecessary intervention, only targeting health treatments to animals in need. Also, improved animal monitoring and decision-making tools, making use of sensors and pen-side diagnostics to rapidly inform livestock managers and farmers so they can take effective action quicker. AgriEpicentre is accelerating the adoption of precision agriculture and engineering technologies to boost productivity across the whole agri-food chain. It does this by exploring how to measure and optimise performance of highly complex agricultural production and processing systems. The centre provides world-class R&D facilities, connecting academia and industry, and progresses next-generation technologies such as sensing, imaging and robotics to create a new understanding of production efficiency. As part of its capabilities, AgriEpi works with 28 satellite farms across the UK where new technologies and techniques are researched, developed, trialled and shared in commercial farm settings. The centre provides a landing pad for UK-based small and medium-sized company operations, including incubation and service facilities, as well as capacities overseas for companies wishing to explore and test their products in new markets. The centre is currently active in China, New Zealand and South America. Some 80% of the African workforce makes a living from agriculture, but many are crippled by a lack of access to financial products to develop their businesses. Price fluctuations for inputs and products, along with crop failure due to pests, diseases, temperature or variable rainfall, hold the entire agricultural ecosystem back. It is very difficult for credit providers to measure risk in the face of such variables without good data from farmers. But a new system called GRID offers a precision data-driven opportunity for overcoming this barrier, giving credit providers the confidence they need to support farmers in increasing yields, growing their farms and ultimately contributing to wider economic development. This innovative digital farming system is helping to increase yields across thousands of hectares of farmland in southern Africa, whilst also creating jobs locally and in the UK. GRID was developed under a 2-year European Space Agency-backed project involving AgriEpicentre and 2 UK agri-tech companies, AgSpace and Riser. It's the first tool on the market specifically allowing farmers and financial providers to track crop performance. The information helps producers to make better management decisions and allows them to offer evidence of their crop's performance to financial providers to gain access to credit and insurance. There has been a rapid uptake following the launch and is now operational in 9 African countries and involves financial providers including Standard Bank. I hope you have found this short presentation useful. If you would like to find out further information or contact the centres, please visit www.agritechcentres.com or use the contact details for the individual centres listed below. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ian, for your presentation. Great to hear how the agri-tech centres are working within the UK to enhance the agri-food sector. We are now going to take our next presentation. This is from Nikki Archer, who is the Deputy Director of Procurement for Scottish Government. We very much look forward to your talk and look forward to any questions we have at the end. Thank you, Nikki.
And my team set procurement policy and strategy for the public sector across Scotland. I'm also responsible for driving procurement and commercial capability in my role as the head of procurement profession. Today I'd like to share my thoughts on why procurement's important and introduce you to the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply, with whom I work closely, and explain what we're trying to achieve through their foundation. And then I'd like to talk to you about an agri-food project in Africa that we're supporting in partnership with Action Aid. I'll touch on some of the learning that I think can be applied elsewhere, and I'm happy for our written case study to be shared with any interested parties afterwards. And finally, I'll signpost some sources of support and guidance for anyone interested. So why do I think a focus on improving procurement and supply is important? Well, firstly, good procurement contributes directly to an organisation's performance, with organisations typically spending more than 2/3 of their revenue on procurement. Even a small cost reduction can have a big impact on tight budgets, allowing them to go further. And secondly, good procurement underpins efficiencies, helping to get best use from our constrained resources. Procurement controls help to mitigate the opportunity for corruption, and according to the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply, corruption adds up to 25% of the cost of procurement contracts. Well-written procurement specifications and effective contract management helps to ensure adherence to critical quality and health standards. And finally, and most excitingly in my eyes, procurement, when delivered well, can add significantly to the wider aims and objectives of an organisation. In Scotland, we use procurement to deliver sustainable outcomes that are good for businesses in our economy and their employees. So we work to ensure that small and medium-sized companies get a chance to bid for a slice of the money available. And we demand a strong focus through our supply chains on fair work, a decent wage and good working conditions. We seek outcomes that are good for society, so for example driving or enabling innovation or technology advances that ultimately benefit everyone. And we consider and proactively enable outcomes that are good for places and local communities. So we look to create jobs or training opportunities in our supply chains for protected characteristics, whether that's on the basis of gender, race, disability, or people who've been unemployed for a long time. We are very keen to tackle equality considerations in how we manage and deliver our supply chains to local communities, and, of course, to deliver greener outcomes that align to our climate aspirations. All of these social, economic and environmental considerations are proactively built into our procurement and our contract management strategies. And I've included some links here to a few videos that we've created in Scottish Government to help demonstrate our work. So who are the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply? And I'll now refer to them as CIPS. Well, CIPS are a global, not-for-profit professional body for the procurement and supply chain industry. They invest their income to advance global best practice, and they're the world's largest organisation dedicated to the profession, with a global community of over 200,000 and offices around the world, including in Africa. They have a wealth of guidance, tools and training available to support good procurement practice, much of which is available online. And while they operate and think globally, they focus on acting locally to ensure relevance to its members. They've got a very active community of members across Africa with whom it's been my pleasure to work. The overriding focus of CIPS is to educate, inform and deliver public value. On the latter, for example, they're working with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to improve the procurement of healthcare and medicines across Africa. The CIPS Foundation is the official philanthropic arm of CIPS, which ultimately seeks, through its work, to improve people's life through better supply chains, all aligned to the UN goals. And after stepping down from the CIPS Global Board of Trustees after many years, I agreed to stay on as an advisor to the board on their CIPS Foundation steering group. We've got a number of projects that we're supporting in India, Bangladesh and Africa. And as well as aligning to the UN's goals, we've got a particular focus on driving gender equality within the supply chain. Our ambition is not just about providing the finance, it's about working with organisations and supporting CIPS to deliver its public benefit agenda with global impact and local community engagement. And we're delighted to have partnered with Action Aid on a Zimbabwe agri-food project. And today I'd like to give you a brief overview of that project, but you can read the case study later, which I hope has several aspects that will be relevant to work elsewhere. So we support ActionAid's work to help farmers like Oliver here to comply with industry regulations, to improve their negotiation powers and develop local innovative supply chain solutions. There's a number of difficult issues and challenges that we've been aiming to address together. And these include the fact that Zimbabwe's small livestock supply chains are the least developed, most fragmented and underperforming in terms of contribution to agricultural gross domestic product. And despite growing consumer demand for meat within the country, there's a persistent shortage of pork and goat meat in particular. Our 4-year project aims to help transform Zimbabwe's livestock and meat industry by improving its business structure, market conduct and social economic performance, and by empowering farmers, particularly smaller ones, to penetrate the market, develop stronger sustainable supply chains and improve their procurement practice, enabling future generations to rely on a continued quality source of food. Over the last year, there's been a big focus on planning and analysis. This has included research and scoping to understand the scale of the issues faced by the market and conducting an as-is to-be gap analysis to help inform and scope the forward work plan to establish a sustainable supply chain. So looking at where we are now, where we want to be and how we're going to get there. There's been a focus on understanding and engaging very significantly with key stakeholders through a variety of targeted events, to test assumptions, to reach a common understanding, and to help inform and support next steps. This included exploring key quality and standard regimes, which are of course critical in the agri-food industry, and the team have worked on selecting and registering farmers to participate in the project, working with government departments, including the Ministry of Women's Affairs, to promote opportunities. This resulted in over 8,000 goat farmers being registered and over 500 pig farmers. Given the challenges of geography on where farmers are based, a key success factor in how the project has been coordinated and managed is the hub model. And that involves 831 anchor goat farms acting as a hub for the surrounding farmers. And similarly, lead pig farmers helping to facilitate access to knowledge, training and markets. This facilitates things like bulk buying discounts to be negotiated for feed and other common items, and for veterinary services to be more effectively coordinated and delivered. And to underpin those operations, there's been a key focus on establishing project governance, terms of reference and ways of working. And 12 goat improvement centres have been set up, 12 district-level goat producer business associations, and 2 regional pork production business syndicates. Moving into the development stages of the project, there have probably been about 4 key areas of focus. Firstly, on upgrading strategies and approaches to improve goat and pork supply chains. And that's included agreeing what success looks like, developing a database to track and monitor performance, and hosting train the trainer events like this one on all aspects of managing the supply chain. Secondly, we've had a focus on ensuring policy and regulatory compliance, which are often extremely costly, particularly for the smallholder livestock farmers targeted through the work. The project team have been working hard to build advocacy for the programme, and that's involved significant engagement with relevant officials and stakeholders to build awareness and support for the project, and trying to target the development of innovative and lower cost compliant solutions. Thirdly, one of the biggest issues of the project, and projects in most places, continues to be access to finance and business development support. A lot of work has gone into identifying some of the barriers and engaging with financial institutions and financial service providers to explore lower risk business and financing models. A match funding offering with clear eligibility criteria was developed to help get some traction behind the project. And finally, because the cost of feed was proving to be a major hurdle with high costs and poor availability due to droughts, there's been a major focus on developing local and affordable, quality animal feed solutions to give more independence. And here, access and support on technology continues to be a focus. The project team have tried to encourage more women to participate in the project. It's been great that women like Kimberley here, a pig farm owner, has come on board. But it's fair to say that despite best efforts, it's been a little disappointing that more women have not been encouraged to participate. So this is very much an ongoing focus through targeted gender strategies. I've already highlighted some of the challenges faced by the project and how those have been addressed. But a further observation of my own is that a critical success factor is Newton, the project lead. He's clearly a very capable man with a strong track record in procurement and supply chain management. His experience in handling extremely challenging import and trade hurdles across Zimbabwe's borders, along with his engaging manner and ability to influence, both key and very required qualities in any good procurement person, have undoubtedly been major contributors to the project's success. And Newton and the rest of the team are already exploiting digital ways of working in the current COVID climate. So I've no doubt that under his continued leadership, they will go from strength to strength. So my rather obvious takeaway for any project anybody supports is that it's critical to handpick a strong project lead with local knowledge and also one that has a very good understanding of procurement and supply chain management, no matter what the focus of that project. The case study, which will be shared later, calls out other learnings and includes some procurement and supply chain highlights with some stories and experiences from the farmers involved in the project. I won't have time today to walk through some of the sources of support that I'm happy to share, but I'm going to send a fact sheet to the organisers to send on to anyone interested. So meantime, here are some links to the SIPS website, which has a wealth of information, including guidance on how to become a member, and also some links to procurement and supply chain resources in the Scottish Government that people across the world are leveraging already. This includes a step-by-step procurement journey toolkit with templates and supporting advice to help buyers achieve their sustainable aims, and a professional competency framework outlining the skills and competencies required from when people might enter our profession or be at the start of learning and throughout their career. So thank you very much for your time today, and I wish you all well.
Thank you ever so much to the presenters for those presentations. And we have some questions come in now. First question from Arno Hacko from the Clean and Sustainable Agriculture Venture Alliance in Cameroon. And this is a question for Tim. What connections do the KTN have in Central Africa?
Hi, thanks for that question. This program is 5 years for a reason, and basically we are very keen to build as many contacts across sub-Saharan Africa as we can. At the moment, we don't have a huge amount of contacts in Central Africa, and that's partly because our focus has been on some key countries of Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa. But we are very keen to build collaborations and networking, and it's one of the desired outcomes from this week. And I think the very fact that you've asked the question tells us we're already up by one within Central Africa. So thank you for that question.
Thanks, Tim. A question for Nikki now. From Pedro, how is the trainer approach in goat farming in Zimbabwe being adjusted under the current COVID-19 situation, Nikki?
So most of the trainer focus was very much an upfront investment, but clearly an ongoing focus in continuous learning is very much key. So they've moved, just like everybody else around the world, to virtual events like today. So a lot of use of webinar, WhatsApp's very popular across Africa, but using virtual events, and people are just reinventing how they get the message across.
Thanks very much, Nikki. Now we have a couple of questions for Ian. So Ian, we have somebody here from Tamina Ajmal saying she has a question relating to agri-epicentres. How can we access the data from the centres? particular individuals interested in precision aquaculture?
Okay, right. Thanks very much, Jane, for the question, and thanks very much to the audience for the questions. The simplest way to inquire about engaging with AgriEpi is to actually email the centre direct through inquiries at agri-epicenter.com. The details are on the slides in the slide pack in the presentation, so that's probably the easiest way to do it, like that, and address it for the attention of Mr. Dave Ross, the Chief Executive. He'll be able to sort of discuss with you your requirements and how they can help you going forward on that front.
Thanks, Ian. And the second is a little bit more of a related question again from Roloff Mark, saying, what is required to start a partnership with CL? And I understand that Mark Young from CL is on the YouTube lead as well at the moment, but maybe you'd answer that question for us.
Right, yeah. It depends what it is you want to do, Roloff, with CL on that side. Again, I would suggest emailing CL to let them know what your interests are on that side, and they will sort of work through with you your requirements and what their capabilities are and their partners' capabilities, and put together a plan of work. CL do not have core funding to invest in projects directly like that. You either have to be able to fund them directly, or they will have to bid in for a project through the AgriTech Catalyst and other programs of work like GCRF on that side to be able to take things forward. But yes, inquiries at cllivestock.co.uk. Mark, if you're on the line, I don't know if there's other bits, anything else you want to add on that particular bit, but he'll do that through the YouTube link.
Thanks very much, Ian. We now have two questions for Nikki. So from Dr. Simon, a comment that it's an amazing project in Zimbabwe. Who could we contact to see if our technology is interesting to incorporate within the project?
So, Dr. Simon, you're absolutely correct. It is an amazing project in Zimbabwe, and we're delighted to be involved in it. I'm more than happy to make an introduction. If somebody wants to give me your contact details, I can make that introduction.
I'm sure that we can actually arrange that, Dr. Simon. Thank you very much, Nikki. And then your second question is from Roloff Mark again, about maybe providing the links to the supporting organisations that you spoke about. And I believe that they are on the video, but if not, I guess we could get them from you.
So absolutely, Roloff. I've put a number of links in my presentation, so hopefully that can be shared with everyone. There's links to some case studies. There's links to the organisations that I've referred to, and I've also put some links in there for useful sources of support, templates, approaches, and best practice. But if there's anything more you want to follow up on from the presentation, again, I'm happy to be contacted and provide any help or support or signposting that I can.
Another one here from Ian from Archan Gui Andrea. I apologise if I've mispronounced your name. What are the conditions for working with Agrimetrics and benefiting from their technology? Maybe we could ask that in a bit more of a general way, and in terms of what are the types of people that we should be what are the types of conditions that people should be considering when working with the centres?
Types of conditions. That's an interesting one. That the key bit is depends on what you want to do and how you want to interact with them. If it's they're all very happy to take part in collaborative R&D projects and calls with yourselves on that front. So the key bit is you've got to have a bit of an idea of what you want to do and what you could add in a partnership going forward in conjunction with Agrimetrics or the other centres on that side. Alternatively, if you're not going to bid into a project there, you will need to have some means to be able to pay for sort of working with the agri-tech centres. As I said earlier, they don't have any sort of core funding to be able to put into projects directly like that. They engage.
So it would be either that you could work together in partnership to try and gain funding, or maybe if you've got a piece of private research that you would like to be done.
If you've got a bit of private research, yes, they'll be happy to talk to you and work up a proposal for you and tell you how much they think it's going to cost and what the outputs would be from the far end of it. Right,
hopefully that's clear. Thank you very much, Ian. With comment here, I think it's a comment from Vijender Nalia. Would it be interesting for Nikki, I apologise Nikki, would it be interesting to collaborate on digital training and coaching for the Train the Trainer programme?
Well, there's two things I would say to that. As a procurement person myself, you can imagine that we are regularly approached with people offering to participate and support. So thank you for that offer. But the second thing I would say is that that's a local project decision. So I'd be more than happy to pass your details on to the project team. And if they're interested, then they will follow that up.
I guess in a way though, Nikki, it also brings a broader point around the ideas of digital training. I mean, we've all been forced with the COVID-19 situation. I mean, look at us here today. We've all been forced into much more of the digital sphere. What impact do you think that may have on the types of projects and programs that you've been involved with in the future? I mean, what do you think that would do?
Part of my role is not focused on Africa, but part of my broader role is providing training and development for the whole of the public procurement community across Scotland and beyond. So I'm currently challenged with that very problem, looking at not just converting what we're doing to an online platform, but making sure that whatever we do has that level of interaction that you need for effective learning. And it is some of the simple problems like bandwidth that can cause problems. So having the right technology support and IT support is really critical. But it's an area that we have come up to speed, or had to come up to speed very, very quickly on, because we're now doing all of our business online. The challenges I think I've had in some of the work I'm doing across Africa has been about internet connection in some regions. So we've had to be a little bit more innovative, and occasionally we've had to look at using things like WhatsApp as a pretty good function instead of some of the other platforms that we would normally traditionally use. So I think it's very much understanding the audience, the particular local dynamics, and making sure that that we take an approach that's supported from a technical perspective. But it is a challenge, but we're rising to it. I think it's a new way of doing it and stopping all the travel.
Thank you, Nikki. A quick question for Tim. Obviously, you're involved from the KTN point of view, encouraging academic interaction with African partners. And I know from your own personal experience that you did for your PhD, you worked within an African context. So, what are your thoughts on whether or not this interaction between the academic base and the African, either academic or industrial base, do you think it can make things change? Do you think there is a possibility here for growth in our aspirations?
Thank you for that question, Jane. Yeah, I certainly think so. Often in practice, many of the innovations that are needed, which can come from academia, are not realised in practice. And I think a closer collaboration between research and business would certainly yield fantastic results. And especially when we think about the goals of this programme, which are closely aligned to the SDGs, then I think there could be some substantial gains there. So it's one of the desires that we would achieve, is that closer collaboration between research and academia and business in that sense. And I think, going back to my point about interdisciplinary work, which is sort of recognised within the REF as an important point, I think academia is well placed to deliver some of that, and it does require that close collaboration. So thanks for that question, Jane.
Thanks, Tim. So, Ian, on a related point, Tim's mentioned about interdisciplinarity, and one of the key things that the centres bring to the agri-foods arena really is the fact that they are focused on solving problems and using a range of academic and industrial expertise to do that. Would you like to comment on what types of opportunities you think there might be, and how they would be best exploited within this programme?
Okay, right, yeah, thanks, Jane. The agri-tech centres, as Jane's just said and said in the presentation, they're a link of a variety of different partners. So everybody from leading universities in the UK right through to sort of small and medium-sized startup companies in the UK. So that they're attracting a lot of attention as well. The kinds of thing, it's around what they're very good at doing is working on applied problems that nobody else can solve. And they don't just work necessarily in one area. You might find that, say, Centre for Innovation Excellence in Livestock, CL, is working with agrimetrics on joining up data usage and pulling different parts together, so they can work as a partnership or as a family of centres out there to try and solve the problems. So it's anything to do, it's if you like, what they're very good at doing is applied solutions to try and solve problems on the ground. That's what they're really good at doing. That's their focus out there. So it's what are the big problems that you think you've got in your particular country, and that's what the centres can apply the collective knowledge they've got to try and solve those problems or work through the problems with yourself.
Thanks, Ian. I have a question here from Sandeep Sharma for Nikki. I think there's a specific and a generic part to this question, really, Nikki. Very interesting project work has been done. Would you be able to provide some small insights on how you build or others build the amazing team in Zimbabwe?
Well, I can't take any credit for that at all. That all goes down to ActionAid and their choice and finding Newton as a project lead. And as I said in my pitch, I do think that who you choose as a lead is absolutely critical for the on-the-ground work. And you need somebody who is not only very knowledgeable locally, but that has a certain amount of charisma, emotional intelligence, and ability to influence, to engage, and then having Newton on the ground, being able to build his team with support from ActionAid. So I think it's, there's nothing new here in terms of how you build any excellent project team. You choose your lead very, very carefully, and you think ahead of time, what are the characteristics, including personality traits, as well as the skills and the experience that you need in a good leader. And then you decide, what kind of culture you're building in that team. And I think that all starts with your first appointment.
Thank you for that answer, Nikki. I mean, we were discussing this offline earlier, weren't we? And I can't help thinking that actually that's key to building an excellent team anywhere in the world, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
I think so. The only other thing I would add, and I promise you, it's not said with any invested interest here, I do think an understanding of supply chain is really important, because any project, agri-food or otherwise, it's all about, what products you're bringing in to run or deliver whatever services you're focused on. So I think having an understanding of the importance of that, if not the specific skills, the importance, so that you can hire somebody in to focus on that. Because I think a lot of projects are made or broken by just how good the supply chain is.
Yeah, knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Right. Well, I'd like to bring this session to a close. I'd like to thank the speakers, to Tim, Ian and Nikki. And I'd also like to thank everyone who has generated questions. We look forward to the pitches this afternoon and talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.